Imagine carrying a child for 9 months, dreaming of a future built together. Love, hope, promises whispered in the dark, only to be left abandoned at a hospital gate with nothing but a newborn in your arms. She was young, hopeful. Salina believed in Ofori's words, his love, his promises that they would build a life as a family. But fate had other plans. A cold, rainy night, a ringing phone unanswered. Empty corridors, nurses offering pity while her heart shattered piece by piece. He was there at first, charming, kind, making her believe in forever. But when the moment came, he vanished. Left her and their son Alex to fight the world alone. Alone, betrayed and broken, Salina faced heartbreak no one should endure. But deep inside, a fierce fire burned a will to survive and protect her son at all costs. This is not just a story of abandonment. It is a story of sacrifice, of resilience, of a son rising from the shadows of rejection to build an empire. Wait till you see how Alex, born into hardship, defied the odds to become a beacon of hope, while the man who left them falls into ruin. Stay tuned because you won't believe how this story unfolds. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a single chapter of this gripping Nigerian Hollywood tale. It was a rainy Thursday afternoon in Lagos when Salina's screams pierced the sterile air of the small private maternity ward. Her hands gripped the iron bedframe as beads of sweat mixed with tears streamed down her face. "Push, madam. Just one more push." The midwife encouraged Dot with a final agonizing cry. The baby's wail echoed into the room. A boy, beautiful, innocent, and utterly unaware of the storm he was born into. Salina looked at the child and smiled weakly. "My Alex," she whispered. "Your papa will be here soon," he promised. "He said he'd come after work." But Ofori never came. Ofori, the suave, dark-skinned businessman with the Range Rover and crisp Yoruba accent, had vanished like perfume in the wind. Hours passed. Nurses began to whisper. The security guard at the gate looked away when she caught his eye, and the receptionist's fake smile faded with every minute by nightfall. Salina sat on the hospital bench outside the ward, cradling her newborn. Her hospital gown clung to her body, soaked by the unrelenting rain. One nurse, young and kind-hearted, came outside with a shawl. "Madam, you sure say the Monday come." "Nah, 8 hours, Dan pass." "Oh." Salina tried Ofori's number again. Voicemail. She remembered his words just before she went into labor. "Baby, I've told them at the hospital front desk. I'll come pick you and my son personally. Just focus on delivering my prince." She had believed him. She wanted to believe him. After all, he'd promised marriage. He'd taken her shopping, called her EOO meme. My wife and told her stories about his family's empire. She was an orphan, had never truly belonged anywhere. When Ofori came into her life, he didn't just offer love, he offered identity, security, belonging. But now, she was just another girl, abandoned by a wealthy man who had lied with charm and vanished with ease. The hospital eventually discharged her. No one had paid the bills. A sympathetic nurse slipped her 2004 transport. "Please, find somewhere safe. This Lagos no good for a woman and baby without support," she whispered. Outside the gate, Salina stood in the cold. Every contraction, every promise, every whispered lie echoed as she stared at the road. "Ofori," she muttered under her breath, rocking the baby. "You said he would be your heir." She walked toward the bus stop, ignoring the stairs, ignoring the ache between her legs and the sharp sting of betrayal in her chest. As a Danfo rickety bus stopped, the conductor shouted, "Oshodi, Oshodi." Salina climbed in with trembling legs, clutching Alex tight. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to survive for Alex, for the child who had been born into rejection but would not grow in it. And as the bus drove off into the Lagos night, the hospital gate behind her faded from view. But the memory that would never leave. The streets of Lagos were not kind to women like Salina, young, single, and burdened with a baby. 3 days after leaving the hospital, she found herself at Ijora Bridge, curled beside a concrete pillar with baby Alex wrapped tightly against her chest. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. She had knocked on several doors. Some landlords turned her away at the mention of a child. Others tried to take advantage of her desperation. One man, a greasy mechanic named Brothers, soon offered her a corner in his workshop. But the way he looked at her body as she cradled her baby told her everything she needed to know. She ran that night with hunger stabbing her belly and Alex's cries piercing the quiet underpass. Salina whispered, "You go eat one day, my son, even if gnaw my flesh. You go chop." Her dreams had once been different. Back in McCurdy, she had wanted to become a tailor. She used to sew doll clothes from scraps and dreamt of owning a fashion house. But losing her parents in a bus accident when she was 14 changed everything. She became a housemaid in Lagos. That's where she met Ofori, her rich boss who made her feel seen, wanted, special now. All she had was her child and the clothes on her back. The next morning, Salina approached a market woman selling tomatoes under a leaking shed. "Auntie, please. I fit help you arrange your table. I know, go collect money today. Just let me stay near and maybe chop leftover, please," she begged. The woman looked her up and down. "Nah, baby, you day carry. You know, get family." "No, ma," she whispered. The woman scoffed, but after a long pause, she waved her hand. "Arrange those crates," and so it began. Salina became a regular face in that market. During the day, she helped traders wash vegetables, chase flies, and scrub floors. At night, she found refuge behind Mama Pepper's stall, wrapping herself and Alex in empty sacks to block the wind. She saved every naira, skipped meals. She started stitching clothes by hand, tiny repairs using borrowed thread and needles. Soon, customers returned, not for the traders, but for that quiet girl who day-fixed cloths fine. Alex grew slowly, his little eyes wide. With curiosity, even as a toddler, he sensed his mother's suffering. When they had no food, he would stay quiet, hugging her instead of crying. One night, after a long day, Salina held Alex close. "One day, you go wear suit. Enter plane, speak English, pass all those people way, look us down." Alex, barely able to talk, pointed at the stars. "Mummy, see light." "Yes," she whispered, smiling through tears. "That light? Nah, your future, my son. We day suffer now, but I swear by my womb, you go shine." And under that moonlight, with the stench of the gutter beside them and the hum of mosquitoes in the air, mother and child fell asleep, clinging to each other like warriors in a battlefield of survival. The small, overcrowded classroom smelled of chalk and sweat. Children sat 3 to a bench, some without shoes, others with uniforms held together by safety pins, but none of them had eyes as sharp and focused as Alex's at 6 years old. Alex was already different. His mother had scraped and begged to get him into the government primary school near the market. Salina had knelt in front of the headmistress. Madame Folake, tears in her eyes, and Alex clinging to her wrapper. "I know get money, ma, but he day smart. I swear, just give am chance. I go wash toilet, sweep compound, anything way you want." The headmistress, moved by the desperation, agreed to admit Alex on the condition that Salina helped clean the compound after school. So every day, after hawking tomatoes and sewing torn wrappers, Salina would wait by the school gate, broom in hand, while her son stayed behind in the classroom copying extra notes from worn textbooks. The teachers noticed quickly. "Madam Salina, one teacher, Mr. Tund, said after school, that your boy, he gets something inside head. Sharp, like blade?" Salina nodded, wiping her brow. "Nah, him be my life, sir." At home, a shack behind the market toilet, Salina lit a candle every night so Alex could do his homework. When the candle wax melted and there was no money to buy another, she collected used matches from the roadside and burned the ends one by one so he could read. "Mummy, you know, day sleep," Alex once said, looking up from his book. "I know need sleep, my son. Nah, your future, I day watch over." They shared one tin plate, one kerosene stove, and one mat. But Salina gave him everything. She ate less so he could have more. She mended clothes for students so he could have a proper uniform. She once sold her only gold earring gifted by her late mother to buy him a used dictionary. But Alex never took her sacrifices for granted. At school, he topped every subject. When other children mocked him for wearing slippers instead of shoes, he kept his head down and studied harder. "Your mama nah beggar," they would chant. "She still better pass your papa way day drink, kikai every day." Alex once shot back, earning a slap from a bully and the secret admiration of his classmates. He started teaching his mother how to use a phone. A customer had given Salina an old, cracked Techno. Alex, barely 9, learned to read WhatsApp messages, send texts, and even browse simple things on the browser. He would show her. "Mummy, if you press here, you fit see how much dem day sell cloth for internet." Salina laughed, amazed. "Nah, whoa. Oh, my pickin', go soon turn teacher." One evening, as thunder rumbled in the distance and the candle flickered low, Alex turned to her. "Mummy, I go build you house one day. Big one with fridge and generator." Eyes filled with tears. "I believe you, my son, with all my heart." That night, as the candle died, mother and son held each other close. The future was still far, still hard. But the dream Lex's dream burned brighter than any light they'd ever known. The scholarship form was crumpled at the edges, worn from days of carrying it around. Alex, now in JSS 3, stood at the gate of an International Foundation office in Sorella, his shirt soaked from the afternoon rain. He clutched the form tightly, to his chest like it was gold. Inside that gate was opportunity, something his mother had prayed for night after night. Earlier that week, his teacher, Mr. Tund, had pulled him aside after class. "Alex, there's a program for gifted children. If you get in, they'll pay your school fees till university. But the process? No beans. You fit try." Alex nodded immediately. "Yes, sir, I fit try." Salina didn't sleep that night. She used the last money they had for transport. "Make sure, say you shine for them, my son," she whispered, pressing her only scarf into his hands for warmth. "No shame, cry, if dem. Say no, but no ever give up." At the gate, Alex waited behind children in polished shoes and thick accents. Their parents had cars parked outside. One mother complained about the heat from her SUV's AC. Alex stood quietly, ignored, dripping, wet. When it was finally his turn, the receptionist barely glanced at him. "Who is your sponsor?" "I no get sponsor, but I get my result," he said, handing over the form and photocopies of his school report card, all straight A's. She looked unimpressed. "Sorry. Without recommendation or guardian, you're not eligible. But the flyers say nah for gifted children." "Next, please," she interrupted. Alex stepped back, heart heavy, eyes burning. The boy behind him, wearing a branded wristwatch, smirked. "Who even let you enter here, bush boy?" he whispered. Alex walked away slowly, gripping his bag. It was not the first time a door had shut in his face, and it wouldn't be the last. He returned home late. Salina was waiting at the corner of the market, worry etched into her face. How ego. "They say, I no fit apply because I no get anybody." She knelt on the ground and hugged him. "Don't mind them, your God still day. One day, dem go look for you." The next day, Alex went online at a roadside cybercafe. He had started teaching himself basic internet skills from an older boy who charged phones nearby. Using 1 hour of borrowed time, he searched free scholarships for poor African students. He began applying. Sometimes his applications were rejected. Other times he never got any reply, but he kept trying. Night after night he wrote essays, edited PDFs, and filled long forms. He once walked from Oyalegba to Yaba just to submit a recommendation letter himself. The rejections came like rain, but Alex refused to drown, weddin' be resilience. He asked his mom one night. "No," Salina answered. "Stitching a torn trouser by candlelight, it means say, even if them push you down, you go stand up again. Like, say your leg get memory." Salina smiled. Then, "Nah, that kind leg I pray make you get." And indeed, Alex kept standing, kept applying, kept dreaming. Because deep inside him, he knew. One day, a door would open not just for him, but for the woman who had raised a king with nothing but thread, tears, and fierce, unbreakable love. It was a humid Thursday afternoon when the email arrived. Alex had just returned from fetching water from a broken tap 2 streets away. His school uniform, now faded and patched at the knees, clung to his frame with sweat. He dropped his bucket and rushed to the corner where his mother kept the borrowed phone under her wrapper, charging it at Mama Nkechi's kiosk. "Mummy, the phone, Dawn beep, I fit check AM." Salina nodded tiredly. She had just finished darning a customer's blouse under the weak glow of a dusty bulb. Alex unlocked the phone. His eyes darted over the screen, and then he froze. Subject: "Congratulations. You've been selected for the African Dream Scholars Initiative." For a moment, the world went silent. He reread the message again and again. Then, in a rush of disbelief, Mummy, CO, dem choose me. They say dem go sponsor everything. From SS1 to university." Salina dropped the blouse. "Which kind joke be this one?" He handed her the phone. She couldn't read the big words, but she saw the bold red letters. Full scholarship awarded. Tears spilled from her eyes. Jesus. Nah. Today, Dawn, happen. The next few days were a whirlwind. A man from the foundation came to verify their address. He was shocked to find Alex living in a shack behind a public toilet. "Your son scored one of the highest marks across 5 countries, the man said, shaking his head. "Even we no believe AM at first." They took photos of Salina and Alex, wrapper tied tight at the waist, his eyes wide with cautious joy. The scholarship covered tuition, accommodation, clothes, even a small allowance. Alex was to move to Abuja to attend a top private school affiliated with the program. As the departure day approached, Salina grew quiet. One night, as she folded his clothes into a nylon bag, she said, "My son, I know, get suitcase to give you, but I give you my prayers." Alex touched her hand. "Mummy, I go, carry your blessing anywhere I go." They went to the motor park at 5 a.m., holding hands in silence. As the bus driver called out the destination, Salina pulled him close. "Don't forget where you come from." "I won't," he whispered. "And I promise you go live inside big house one day. You know, go hawk again." The bus drove off. Leaving a cloud of dust, Salina stood alone at the terminal, her eyes wet, but her heart full. At the school in Abuja, Alex's world exploded open. Air-conditioned classrooms, libraries with hundreds of books, clean dormitories, and students who had never known what it meant to sleep on bare floor. At first he felt like an intruder. His accent was mocked, his shoes laughed at, but he didn't bend. Instead, he burned brighter. He aced every subject. He won debates, math contests, science fairs. Teachers began to speak of him as the boy from nowhere who knew everything. And every weekend he called home, voice soft with longing. "Mummy, I day make you proud." Salina always answered, "You know, just day make me proud. You day give me reason to live." Little did they know, the best and the storm was still ahead. At 19, Alex stood on the edge of something great and terrifying. University life in Abuja was a different beast. While his classmates partied and flexed their parents' wealth, Alex kept to himself. He wasn't just studying for grades. He was studying to escape a life he never wanted to return to, late at night. In a small hostel room he shared with 3 other students, he hunched over a secondhand laptop gifted by one of his mentors from the Scholarship Foundation. It wheezed like a tired generator, but it was his window to the world. He learned how to code from YouTube videos, read startup blogs, and followed stories of young African tech founders. Something in him stirred every time he saw an innovation. Change lives. "If I can build something that helps people like my mom," he whispered to himself one night, fingers flying over the keyboard. His first app was a simpler mobile platform for artisans like tailors and mechanics to advertise their services for free. He called it Fix It Naya. No capital, no investors. Just grit. He launched it from a cafe using borrowed Wi-Fi and begged friends to share it. For a moment it seemed to gain traction. Then came the first blow. A major blog accused him of stealing someone's idea. Trolls descended. His inbox was filled with insults. People called him a fraud. Salina called him one night, worry in her voice. "Alex, I see wettin' dem day talk online. Go affect your scholarship." He smiled weakly. "No, mummy, nah, small storm. I go handle AM." Inside, though, he was broken for 2 days. He couldn't eat. He stared at the screen, questioning everything. But then he remembered the hospital gate, the rejection at the foundation, the mockery at his first school. "I didn't come this far to give up." He shut down Fix It Naya and went back to the drawing board. He began freelancing for tech firms abroad, building websites for peanuts, designing user interfaces for e-commerce startups in Europe, and saving every kobo he could. He learned, he grew, and soon an idea began to form. What if there was a platform that empowered low-income entrepreneurs, single mothers, street hawkers, dropouts with free tools to start and grow small businesses online? That was how Uplift Africa was born. It was messy at first. A bare-bones website. No logo. No marketing. But this time, something shifted. People started sharing Itrial people. A widow in Port Harcourt who sold palm oil. A barber in Kano who got 4 new clients. A tailor in Benin who made her first online sale. Investors began to notice by age 23. Alex had secured his first $50,000 grant from a Pan-African tech incubator. And he didn't spend it on flashy things. He put it all into the platform and into hiring other underprivileged tech talents like himself. "People like us no day get this kind chance," he said during one pitch event. "So if you give me, I go multiply am for others." That speech went viral. Salina saw the video at a neighbor's shop. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "That's my son," she whispered. "My own miracle." But in the shadows, Ofori, the man who abandoned them, was watching. And fate was quietly preparing a dramatic reunion that neither mother nor son could ever imagine. The launch of Uplift Africa 2.0 changed everything. What began as a simple web tool now had thousands of users across the continent. Market women in Ibadan, shoemakers in Accra, and pepper sellers in Nairobi were using Alex's platform to connect. With customers, manage sales, and even access microloans, the world noticed. CNN featured him as Africa's tech prodigy. TechCrunch called Uplift Africa the revolution for the underserved. Even the president's special advisor on youths tweeted, "Alex Udoka is a national treasure." But back in Lagos, someone else was reading those headlines with bitter curiosity. Ofori, the once powerful businessman, was no longer the man who drove a Benz through Lekki with tinted windows and a loud laugh. His real estate empire had crumbled. After a fraud scandal involving one of his partners, properties were seized, Investors pulled out. Friends disappeared faster than raindrops on hot tar. He now lived in a modest flat, sustained by the remnants of old wealth and painful ego. One evening, as he scrolled through Instagram, he froze at a familiar name: Alex Udoka, founder of Uplift Africa. The boy looked vaguely familiar. That name, he murmured, his hand trembling. Could it be? He opened a tagged photo. A woman stood next to Alex at an award ceremony, graced tricked hair, radiant face, tears in her eyes. It was Salina. Ofor. I dropped the phone. No, impossible. His past, the one he had discarded at the hospital gate, was now the future. The world was applauding. Panic crawled into his chest. Elsewhere, Alex remained focused. He had just signed a partnership with a global fintech firm, raising $1.5 million in funding. Yet through all the success, he never forgot his roots, his office. WASNT in Victoria Island, or Banana Island. It was in the heart of Yaba Tech District, close to the streets he once wandered with nothing but dreams. Salina now lived in a modest but beautiful bungalow, complete with tiled floors, running water, and a small garden she lovingly tended. One evening, she looked out from her kitchen window and sighed, "God, you really lifted us." But storms still brewed. Ofori, now desperate, began pulling strings to meet Alex. He didn't know what he would say. Would he beg, lie? Try to re-enter their lives with a fatherly claim? He reached out to a business contact who owed him a favor. "I need an appointment with the CEO of Uplift Africa." His contact hesitated. "Alex, are you sure?" Ofori's eyes were dark. "Yes, he has something that belongs to me." A week later, Ofori walked into the glossy glass-paneled office of Uplift Africa. The receptionist welcomed him. "Do you have an appointment, sir?" "Yes, I'm here to see the CEO. Please wait a moment." As Ofori waited, he noticed the photos lining the walls: Alex shaking hands with presidents, giving TED Talks, hosting empowerment seminars for single mothers. He shifted in his seat, heart pounding. Then the door to the executive suite opened. Alex stepped out, taller, sharper, confident. Their eyes locked. For a moment, time stood still. Ofori's lips parted. "My son?" But Alex's expression didn't change. "Mr. Ofori," he said coldly, "you left 2 lives at the hospital gate. Today, only one of us survived." The room went silent. You could almost hear the hum of the air conditioner fighting the tension in the air. Ofori stood frozen by the doorway of Alex's executive suite. He looked older than he felt, his tailored suit now a shell hiding decades of arrogance, shame, and regret. His voice cracked. "Alex, .. I didn't know." Alex raised a hand, cutting him off. "You knew enough to walk away." Ofori stepped forward. "Listen, son. I'm not your son." Alex's tone was calm, but every syllable pierced like a blade. "You made that choice when you left my mother at the hospital gate in the rain, bleeding and alone. Remember?" Ofori's lips trembled. "Salina, ... She didn't tell me." She told you everything?" Alex interrupted. "I've read her old texts to you, the ones you never replied to. She called you when her water broke. She called you when I was born. You blocked her. Then you changed numbers." Pride cracked. He dropped his gaze. "I was scared," he whispered. "I had a reputation to protect. My family. They wouldn't have accepted, but it was okay to destroy ours." Alex snapped, now standing tall in front of the man who once discarded him like yesterday's trash. "You were a coward then, and you're still one now." Silence. Ofori took a shaky breath. "I'm not here to fight. I'm here because I lost everything. And when I saw your name, your face, I realized what I gave up." Alex studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he walked to the window overlooking the tech district he helped build. "My mother used to tell me stories about you," he said softly. "How you laughed. How you promised to take her to meet your family. How you whispered that she was the one. You gave her hope, then snatched it away the moment she became inconvenient." Ofori lowered himself into the guest chair. His shoulders slumped. "I deserve your anger, Alex, but I came here not to ask for money. I just ... I want to be part of your life. Maybe it's too late, but I need to try." Alex turned to face him. "You're right, it's too late. My life was built without you. My mother and I fought through every insult, every hunger, every humiliation you left behind, and she never once cursed your name. Do you know what kind of woman that makes her?" Ofori's voice cracked. "A queen?" "I know." Alex nodded. "Exactly. And the only reason you're still standing here is because of her forgiveness, not my acceptance." Ofori rose slowly, shame flooding every inch of his being. "So ... there's no hope." Alex stepped closer. His voice was low, firm. "There's no revenge here, Mr. Ofori, but there's no relationship either. You're not my father. You were my lesson." With that, he turned to his assistant. Please see him out." As Ofori walked out, defeated, he paused at the hallway photo of Salina holding baby Alex. Tears welled up. He reached out, barely brushing. "The glass I gave away my crown," he whispered. The air in the grand hall was thick with anticipation. Journalists, dignitaries, and tech entrepreneurs filled the room, their eyes fixed on the stage where Alex was about to speak. But this wasn't just any event. It was the launch of the Salina Udoka Foundation, named after the woman who had endured unimaginable pain to give her son a future. Alex stood behind the podium, his heart pounding but his voice steady. "This foundation is more than just a charity," he began, eyes scanning the crowd. "It's a testament to the strength and resilience of single mothers everywhere, especially my mother Salina Udoka." He told the story briefly, carefully, of a young woman abandoned at a hospital gate, of sacrifices made without recognition, of nights spent working with trembling hands, sewing clothes, hawking goods, and shielding her child from a world that wasn't kind. "But my mother never gave up," Alex said, his voice thick with emotion. "Her strength became my foundation, and today, we are here to lift others who are fighting similar battles." The foundation's mission was clear: provide financial support, education, and mentorship to single mothers struggling to raise children alone. It would create skills training centers, microloan programs, and counseling services in communities across Nigeria. Salina sat in the front row, her eyes shining with tears and pride. She had never imagined this life a beautiful home, respect from the community, and most of all, dignity. Restored after the speech, people approached her with smiles, admiration, and heartfelt thanks. A woman hugged her tightly and whispered, "You are the real hero." Salina's hands trembled as she accepted the praise. "I only did what any mother would do." Later that evening, at home, Salina sat quietly by the window, clutching an old photo of baby Alex wrapped in a hospital blanket. "I made it, my son," she whispered. "We made it." Alex joined her, sitting beside her in the dim light. "Mother," he said softly, "none of this would be possible without you." She smiled, a mixture of relief and exhaustion. "God was with us, Alex, even when it seemed like no one else was." They talked late into the night, sharing memories, hopes, and a new dream, one where no child would be abandoned, no mother left to suffer alone. Meanwhile, news of the foundation spread quickly. Social media buzzed with support, and donations poured in from across Africa and beyond. Alex used the platform to share stories of courage and perseverance, giving a voice to women who had long been silenced. But not everyone was happy. Watching from afar felt a deep ache. The man who once had it all was now a shadow, forced to confront the consequences of his past. One night, Salina received a letter of formal invitation from the foundation's board to join as an honorary advisor. It was a gesture of respect, an acknowledgement of her journey. She read it aloud to Alex. "This is your legacy, Mummy. Not just what you endured, but what you've built." Tears welled up again, but this time they were tears of triumph. As the foundation grew, so did Salina's confidence and hope. She became a symbol of dignity and grace, proof that even in the darkest moments, light could be found. And for Alex, every success was a reminder of a promise, kept a promise to honor. The woman who never gave up on him. The Lagos skyline glistened under the fading sunlight as Salina and Alex stood together on the balcony of their new home. It was a modest but elegant place, a far cry from the hospital gate where their story began, yet every corner whispered of the battles won and the love that had never faded. Alex held Salina's hand tightly. "Mother, this is just the beginning. Your story will inspire generations." Salina smiled, her eyes reflecting both tears and joy. "I've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself from the pain." Meanwhile, in a dimly lit room miles away, Ofori sat alone, clutching a faded photograph of baby Alex wrapped in a hospital blanket. The weight of regret pressed heavy on his chest. "I gave away my crown," he whispered, voice thick with sorrow. His empire was gone, his reputation shattered. The man who once ruled high society now faced the silence of his own choices. But life had a strange way of balancing scales. A week later, Salina received a letter from a legal firm. It was a formal notice. Ofori had transferred ownership of a portion of his remaining assets to the Salina Udoka Foundation. The man who had abandoned them was now quietly contributing to the legacy born from his absence. Alex pondered this unexpected gesture. "Maybe it's his way of making peace." Salina nodded. "We won't forget, but we can forgive." At the foundation's headquarters, a new mural was unveiled, a portrait of Salina and Alex, standing strong, surrounded by children and mothers, smiling with hope. It was a symbol of resilience, a beacon to all who faced hardship. During the ceremony, Alex spoke with quiet conviction. "We don't build empires for revenge. We build them to uplift others." My mother taught me that love is stronger than betrayal. Salina's heart swelled as the crowd applauded. Her sacrifices, her struggles, had blossomed into something far greater than she ever imagined. Later, as the sun set behind the city, Alex received a call. It was Ofori. "I want to meet," his voice shaky. Alex hesitated, then said, "There's only one condition: you come not as a man seeking forgiveness, but as one ready to accept the consequences of his actions." The meeting was brief but profound. Ofori expressed remorse, and Alex offered peace not as a gift, but as a testament to his own growth. Walking away, Alex felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He turned to Salina and said, "We reclaimed what was lost not with anger, but with grace." As the story closed, Salina's voice echoed in a final reflection. Life will test you, break you, and sometimes leave you at a gate in the rain. But with faith, resilience, and love, you can rise again. Your crown is never lost, it's waiting for you to take it back. And with that, a new chapter began, not just for Salina and Alex, but for every mother and child daring to dream beyond their circumstances.